Oh, what's up, guys? I'm just in the middle of a little game of hide and seek. It's getting pretty intense. Got a little time on my hands, and let's go ahead and review Ready or Not. Let's do this. Ready or Not stars Samara Weaving, Adam Brody, and is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. What's up, guys? Ready or Not is one of those, I guess you could call them game horror movies, which I really tend to gravitate towards these. I love them. A good example, and one that I don't hear talked about enough, is Would You Rather. Would You Rather is a really good, intense, like game-oriented horror movie. And so when I saw the trailer for Ready or Not, I was really excited about this one. And also Samara Weaving's in it, and she was amazing in The Babysitter. So, you know, those two things right there, automatically, I'm in. And it looks bloody as hell. So how is it? It's damn good. And by the way, the little intro that I created for this thing, I still haven't decided as of this recording if I'm gonna use the unplanned intro where I lunged into this chair and I fell back and everything just came towering over me. You might have saw that at the beginning. I'll look and see how it looks. If not, I'll put it right here so that way you can see it, or maybe you'll just see it again. I'm in the middle of a little game of hide and seek. It's pretty intense. Because that was not planned, and it was hilarious. But anyway, quick plot synopsis. This centers around this game of hide and seek. This couple, they just get married, and then right after they get married, into this family, they have to do this game. It's a big family tradition, and the family is a little bit whacked out in the brain, and they feel like they have to do this game. If they don't, then bad things will happen, because there is this ritual. And there was this game maker named LaBelle, and he gave them this box, this family. And so from the moment he gave them this box, they have to play the game every time somebody gets married. And what's interesting too is when I saw the trailer for this, I was thinking, how are they gonna pull this off? Like, do they have to do this like at every wedding? And they have to kill somebody? But no, it's not quite like that. As a matter of fact, the particular game in this movie takes place some 30 years since the last time, because there's more than just one game. You know, they could play a game of chess, but you know, there's like dozens of games that could pull up, and the only one that is lethal is hide and seek, which does beg the question, like, why does this one particular game involve killing and all the rest of them don't really? But you know, it's all based around this ritual, and there's some witchcraft involved. But what's good about it too is it's all up in the air. The family doesn't really know what's gonna happen if they don't follow through with the game at the end. And by the way, the end of this movie is so good and so revealing that I felt the need to talk about it after the rating. So after the rating, I'll talk about that ending that I really, really enjoyed. Now, first off, one thing I really loved about this plot was this is one of those plots where you could think of so many different plot holes that they could plant along the way that could, you know, be the detriment to the movie. But fortunately, we got some really good writing in this thing. And along the way, they always fill those plot holes. They always explain everything along the way. So anytime you have a question like, wait, that doesn't make sense. What if this happened? They explain it, and it all makes sense, and it works perfectly. And it kind of elevates it above, you know, just your average game horror movie, because you really don't have to explain everything. As long as you give your audience that quick premise, you can have fun. Because I really think horror fans are pretty damn forgiving, if I'm being honest. You know, they don't go to a movie and scrutinize it. You know, as long as you give them some good kills, you set up a good story for them, give them good characters, then they're happy. And speaking of good characters, this has really great characters actually, which was a nice surprise, because I thought that, you know, these characters would be pretty stock. But each character in the movie has their own unique quality to them. And there's a lot of comedy involved, surprisingly. You got this one character, the brother, that's not like fully invested in the whole thing. You know, he's like texting at one point through the movie. He's the one with the crossbow. And literally at one point in the movie, he's looking up how to use a crossbow on YouTube. And, you know, I got a real good chuckle out of all that. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of great comedic moments, which I will talk more about throughout this review, involving other characters. Now, the family is the De La Move family. One of the brothers, Alex, he is getting married to Grace, played by Samara Weaving. The two brothers, I think, play a pivotal role in this movie because, of course, Alex, he doesn't want to kill his bride, but he also can't really tell her what's going to happen. You know, how the game is set up that, you know, they're supposed to kill her. And so there's this conflict with him throughout the movie, you know, because, of course, he's not going to go chasing after his bride. But you got his brother, Daniel, who's kind of the wild card of the movie because, you know, it is obvious that he doesn't like what's going on here. But he is still a wild card. You never know which direction this character is going to turn, and he's played very well by Adam Brody. And he happened to be one of my favorite characters of the movie. Of course, only next to Grace, played by Samara Weaving. And of course, I had to mention Aunt Helene, which is another really interesting character. I call her like the Cruella de Vil of the movie. She's just so unique, and she gives the story more of like a medieval feel to it, you know. It takes it out of, I guess, the current real world. Which was nice because most of this movie takes place in this mansion, and it is kind of a creepy mansion. You know, there's some great atmosphere in here, and so you can set up some nice bloody horror scenes in this thing. Now, of course, I have to talk about Samara Weaving. She is so good in this movie, and you know, this is the type of movie that you don't need that much from your actress. Like, she could go do her part, run from the family, you know, dodge some darts and whatnot, and be fine. But Samara Weaving really ups the ante big time throughout this whole thing. And from an acting standpoint, she has to deliver so many different emotions throughout this movie. There are some hilarious moments actually in it too. I mean, she has so much spunk. You know, she really like reaches out and tries to make every scene the best it can be. You know, and you don't see that in all actresses, but for instance, there's this one scene, and I don't want to give anything away, but where, you know, she's confronted with this car, and the guy just leaves, and she calls him every funny name in the book. I think there was even like a dick licker in there. I remember the audience just busting out laughing during that scene. It was hilarious. And there's quite a few moments like that in this movie, actually. But it never pulls itself too far away from the horror because it gets bloody as hell. I mean, this movie really goes for broke in terms of blood. I mean, you have impalements, you have beheadings. They don't hold back whatsoever. This is a dyed-in-the-wool horror movie. And it's, I don't want to call it a gore fest or anything, but it is not for the squeamish in some scenes, actually. One of my favorite scenes, actually, is when Grace, she's in this barn, and she's trying to claw her way out. There's this nail that's like at the top of the barn, and she doesn't see the nail yet, so you as an audience member, you're scared for her, like, oh, please do not put your hand on that freaking nail. And it's one of those scenes that you're just gripping your chair throughout the whole thing. But also, more importantly, you root for her. She's probably one of my favorite, like, damsel in distress characters I've seen in a while, actually, because she's very resourceful. She gets herself back up on her feet, and she keeps moving forward. She's inspiring. She's not just running from danger, you know, she's fighting back against the danger, and I really like that about her. Guys, I had such a great time with this movie. Did not expect this. I'm giving it a Trapped on an Island. That's how good it was. It's one of those horror movies that comes along, you think it's gonna be okay, and then it just shocks the hell out of you. And I can't wait to add this to my collection. It's awesome as hell. Now, as far as that spoiler, here's your warning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ending of this was so great because you don't know if this ritual is real or not. This whole thing could be just a joke. The family, you know, throughout all these generations, they've never taken it as far as to see what would happen if the bride actually wins. And so, of course, at first you think that the whole thing is a hoax, but then all the family members, one by one, start exploding, and there's just blood flying all over the screen, and it was just beautiful. So that right there is satisfying alone. But then they have Alex standing before her, and throughout the whole movie, you're thinking that Alex is this really selfish guy. He just wants to save his bride. But in the end, Alex isn't that great, actually. And Alex explodes. And it was very satisfying, especially seeing Grace's reaction after the whole thing. You know, she just goes out, sits on the steps like a badass, smokes a cigarette. I can't wait to add this movie to my collection. So much fun, ready or not. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.